I'm recording now.
Okay. Well, what do you think is driving the demand for content everywhere? Because you've got, I think when Kevin Spacey kind of changed the game, I would dare say when House of Cards,
Right.
he shopped it around, and the traditional studio system is like, well, you got to do a pilot. We was like, nah, I got 6 episodes, and if you don't want to, somebody else will.
Right.
And Netflix just sucked them right up. And luckily, well, not even luckily, Kevin Spacey is a great actor, great content. You can view it on the phone, you can view it on the tablet, everywhere. So what do you think is driving this audience now to consume film? Because I think that right now we can consume film still at the theater.
Right.
What do you think is driving this new demand for, I want to see a movie on my smartphone, I want to see it on my laptop or wherever I am?
I think people want choices. I feel, that's number one. Movies are expensive too. I mean, I go to matinees. I actually stream a lot of things. I don't really go to movies as much as I used to. So I like to stream, number one. I think two, cable is really expensive. And you're paying $100, $200 some dollars for a gazillion channels when you only watch like 3 of them. I mean, honestly, you watch HGTV, Food Network, some other channel, and then you just spend all this money. And then if you miss a show, then that's it, unless you DVD, DVR it, or if it's on demand on like Comcast or something. So I think nowadays people just can you say something, Christine? Yeah, unfortunately, we still can't hear you. And this is on your phone. Have you tried your computer again to see if you shut down your computer, if that'll work? And let me know. Okay. So you're starting back up now. So I really feel like nowadays people just want a lot more choices. It's just a whole different world. You're busy. So a lot of shows I actually just miss. I don't know when it comes on. Like, I like Blackish. I don't know what day of the week it comes on. I really don't know what channel it comes on, honestly. Every once in a while, oh yeah, let me go watch it. I binge watch like 5 episodes in one sitting when I actually have the time to do it. And that's how people consume things now. People have so many choices. You don't want to have time to sit around. Okay, something's about to come on, so I need to be home by this time. So I think people just want more choices, and they don't want to spend as much money for it. And I feel like with streaming, you can pick and choose. I like, this particular content, so I want to pay for it versus, spending money to one company and have all of these channels that many times you don't need. And I think too, so when you talk about people wanting to consume a lot of content, I think there's so much going on in the world too. So much, especially I think in the Black community, you hear about Tamir Rice and Freddie Gray, and I think it's also a way for people to kind of escape what's happening now in the world, because there's just so much going on, and it is a way for you to kind of get your mind off of things. Look at something like a Star Wars, for instance. I mean, people did go to movies to see it, but it's, for an hour or 2 hours, you're able to get away from the realities of what's happening in the world. And I think people are looking for that. And I think people are looking for something more substance. There was this slump, I feel like, in the 2000s where, television sort of kind of went downhill a little bit and kind of became dominated by reality TV. I think it started with MTV, and then it just, kept going from there. And people are even tired of that. Watching someone, I don't know, I feel like reality TV has just gotten to the point where I'm watching someone cook or watching someone do basic things, and this isn't real television. This is just something very cheap to fill space. And so I think there are a lot of different reasons as to why it is the way that it is now.
When it comes down to film, I think it's a great time to be an independent filmmaker. I think better than ever now is a good time to be an independent filmmaker. What role do you see kweliTV playing for the independent filmmaker and distribution?
I think, our goal is to be a game changer so far. I paid my filmmakers today, actually. Christine got her royalties.
Oh,
I think
oh, oh.
is she, I can't, I
We
heard it
lost.
for a
Come
second.
back,
Yeah,
come back, come back.
and then she,
Hello?
looks like we're going to
Woo! There it is. Whoa, there it
Hello.
is. Oh, there it is.
yeah, yeah, old school. Finally, it's it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, can you see my face? I have to okay, woosah.
Yeah, yeah. So I asked this last question, and then Kristen,
I'm
you can actually answer this too on what Alice said. So I really feel like kweliTV is a real big game changer for independent filmmakers. When I started kweliTV, and one of the reasons, of course, was about the images, but also to do with the fact that with Empower, Alice used to write about independent films and documentaries for Empower initially. And
yeah.
yeah, and I remember people say, "Oh, wow, this is a really great film." How do I find out about more about this film, or how do I watch this film? Like, okay, if you're going to be at a film festival in New York, in a month from now, then you can watch it. But after the film festival circuit, a lot of times many independent filmmakers really didn't have a place for their films, especially Black filmmakers. And this is a place where great films, even short Black films, to have a home that traditionally would be overlooked by a lot of mainstream outlets. Christine, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I created First Date in 2013, and it has been a real blessing to continue to have distribution. So I did the film festival circuit for about a year and a half, and then have been on 2 television networks and now kweliTV, and I've been really excited to be a part of the family. I love all of the films that are on the channel. I know a lot of the filmmakers, so it's been really exciting that our work has continued to build an audience and gravitate to people. So I'm super excited about it.
Awesome. Yay. Awesome.
I'm going to jump out so she can
Okay.
become the interviewee, and then if you open the floor up again, I'll come in. But I'm going to jump out so she can be in the corner next to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Alice.
thank you.
Great talking to you.
Thanks for holding it down.
I know, right? I was like, so let me do a magic trick, right? So I am talking to Christine Carter. She is the director of First Date, and again, it's a short film, but it's a really, really great film. And people initially, when they see First Date, they'll automatically think one thing. So talk about what the film is about, and why you decided to have that particular angle that the film has. I don't want to give it away. I'll let you talk about it.
Sure. So First Date is semi-autobiographical. I had an experience with a familiar stranger, so that's how I have sort of coached it. Is basically First Date is about a young woman who encounters a familiar stranger, and through the film you have to figure out who that person is to her. But it's someone that she has longed to see for a long time and is working on rebuilding that relationship. So for anyone who has not seen First Date, I hope that you go onto kweliTV tonight and check it out.
Right. And there's going to be some spoiler alerts. So, because to fully talk about the film, we have to kind of talk about, what's in the film. So,
Sure, I don't mind. I mean, it's been 3 years, so I don't mind.
Sorry, folks, but still go see it. It's definitely worth it. But I was thinking when I first saw it, a young woman moves to LA, and a guy, a familiar stranger, calls her. And the first time I thought, okay, some brother from back in the day, moved to LA, and, he wants to connect with her. But it was very, very different from that. And you said it's kind of autobiographical. It was an autobiography. So this is something that happened to you personally.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, this is a spoiler alert. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, close your ears. So basically, the main character is invited out, and you think that it's a date with an older gentleman. And through the film, you come to find out through clues along the way that it's her biological father. So this is her first time spending any time with him, especially as an adult. And so through the film, you come to meet other characters that are really primary to their relationship as well. So my experience I moved to LA in 2011, and I had met my father before. I just had never spent any significant amount of time with him. And so when my friends saw me, excuse me, when my friends saw me after the fact, they said, well, you know, how was your outing with your dad? And I said, funny, it really felt like a blind date. It felt as uncomfortable and as static as a blind date. Very hopeful, very positive, but still searching for things to say. You know, I don't want to offend this person, so what should I do to make this person comfortable? And so from that, I was able to play on some themes. I really wanted to talk about the experience. I was like, well, maybe I can position this like it's a first date, and people have to follow along to figure it out.
Yeah, and that's what's so awesome about it. I like the type of films where you think it's one thing and then it's something totally different. And you won a couple awards for this film as well.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of winning First Time Filmmaker at the San Francisco Black Film Festival. I was nominated. Thank you so much. That was a really, really big deal. I've been a TV producer for years, and so stepping into film is a dream of mine. And First Date is definitely like that sort of pat on the back to keep going.
Right. So it's your first film. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty exciting to be able to do that and to be so successful with your first film. Talk about that transition from TV to film. I mean, what has the transition been like for you?
Sure. So I got started writing music specials and award shows for MTV and BET. Actually, a special just ran last night, BET's 20 of 2015, and there's again tomorrow night at 9 p.m.
Her plug.
Yes. Not so shameless, but please watch it. I started writing professionally for television, and then said, wow, you know, I really would love to do a film. I've been inspired by so many great filmmakers. And so I enrolled into Writers Boot Camp, and then got into the Guy Hanks and Mark Miller Fellowship Program at USC, formerly known as the Cosby Program. But, you know, we're not going to get into that. But that was the program that it was affiliated with.
Yes.
And so once I got into that fellowship program, that's what really pushed me into doing a film. So I had already written a couple features, and I said, you know, I really want to direct a short film. So I saved up some money, called on a couple of favors, did a fundraising campaign, and then the rest is history. So my goal is to continue to create more films. I'm actually really focused right now on getting some grants, some grant money to continue.
Right. Well, that would be awesome. And even with your short film First Date, it's only about 15 minutes long. And a lot of audiences, the things I was hearing from customers, quality TV customers, I want more. I can see almost being a series, like a web series or a TV series. Have you thought about that, like expanding that at all?
Yes, I have thought about expanding it. I'm sure my mother is somewhere smiling because it's a conversation that we've had for a while. You know, I will be honest and say, after doing First Date, I really have been searching myself to see. I definitely wanted to expand, but I think I have sort of grappled with, okay, what angle do I want to take? But I'm definitely interested in expanding it. I would love to find, you know, a house to do that where I can expand. But definitely, I would be interested in doing a web series. After First Date, did the first festival round. I did 2 festival rounds. So once I did the first festival round, I was really thinking about creating it as a TV pilot.
Yeah, I can really see that because you get a lot packed in 15 minutes, but again, it's only 15 minutes, and you wonder, okay, what happens the next day? You know, do they see each other again? You know, so it was really interesting. But I thought it was a really great dynamic. And earlier you talked about, you know, how it was like a real first date. You know, how are you able to capture that as a director? How are you able to get that to show well on screen, to show the awkwardness of like a first date? Talk about your techniques.
Sure. So one thing I really appreciate is Stephanie Parrott, who was my lead actress. She played Leah. And I worked with her, and I worked with Byron Mark Newsom, who played Rich, the father. I worked with them to really bring out the personal experiences that felt awkward to them. I will also say that Stephanie and I share the experience of not having grown up with our fathers. And so we talked a lot about the experiences that we've had with our fathers, the feelings that we felt, the emotions that we wanted to bring out, even if she didn't say it, that
Right.
it comes out in her body language, in her eyes. Still, what my favorite scene is the last scene when she, when Rich gets out of the car, and that emotion that she feels of, she's hopeful about this relationship, but she's definitely, you know, feeling remorseful and disappointed about not having that relationship solid already. There's just a
Right.
lot of unspoken emotion there. So my technique really was working with my actress, really making sure that the angles that I caught, even in the dance scene,
Right.
we worked on that. We worked on that a lot. Making sure that we really caught the emotion. And it really, I want to say, Byron and Stephanie took maybe 3 or 4 takes each. I mean, each shot was amazing. I felt like they really knocked it out. So we rehearsed. I thought they were just great. We rehearsed pretty diligently, and then once we got on screen, they really nailed it.
Awesome. Yeah, they did a wonderful job in doing their portrayals in the film. So you said it's kind of like your own story. Has your father seen it? I mean, what does he think about the film? Just
Yes,
curious.
he did see it. I showed him, and he was very emotional watching it.
Mm,
Yeah, he was very, very emotional because I wanted to make sure that I portrayed Leah and Rich in the right light. I didn't want Rich to be the bad guy. It says there's an open seat. Did I lose you?
yeah, I'm back
Okay,
now. Look, I'm back.
no problem. No problem.
I went away.
That's okay.
I don't know what happened. Just went away. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I wanted to make sure that the daughter and father both have room to grow and have room to express themselves, when there is a continuation. So Rich isn't the bad guy. Leah's not the bad girl. You don't really know why they weren't together. And so I think that my father really appreciated that portrayal.
Right.
I expanded it so it wasn't like all our relationship, but I definitely think that he got a lot out of seeing like that there's a lot of pain and a lot of hurt there. There's disappointment, but it's not like I see him as the bad guy.
Right.
So,
Right.
it opened up a lot of dialogue. I will say I was expecting a different outcome for our relationship in the last couple of years, which hasn't happened. But I have gotten the opportunity to spend a little bit more time with him.
Well, that's good. And I do appreciate that about the film because I feel like we are in a sensitive time where people don't want to be demonized. Brothers are demonized. We have another black man who's not there with his children, but you didn't really portray it that way. We don't really, like you said, we don't really know the circumstances. We just know that there's been a disconnect and distance in their relationship, and there's no bad guy.
Well, and that was really purposeful because I really wanted to open the lines of dialogue for other parents and other children who hadn't grown up together, or the child hadn't grown up with the father or the mother in that case. And so beyond the film festival circuit, I also did a workshop series, and I traveled to different high schools and colleges and spoke to different students. But I will say the number one thing I was surprised about were the amount of fathers and the amount of men who opened up during those workshops to talk about their experiences, about leaving the home or even having their parents leave them. And so that's why I'm so proud of First Date, because I didn't want to demonize anybody. I just wanted to share the story of an adult child who's struggling to figure out how to connect with their parent and vice versa.
So that's really cool. You went to different schools. Was that the initial intent when you created this film, or was this something that just kind of happened over time?
To be completely honest, I worked with my producers, Jamila Jordan and Brandon Deese. All of us really wanted to just create a short film. We all work in television, and wanted to expand. And so I thought I had a comedy short, and then I had this other thing. So I was like, oh, we're going to do this comedy. And then when they said, well, what's the other short that you have? And I told them and burst into tears, and they said, oh, we're doing that one. So, you know, it's really been a blessing because I didn't expect the workshop series, but once I decided this is what we're doing, then it wasn't personal anymore. It became, okay, this is my production, let's get this thing moving. And so as I continued working with my actors, and then once it premiered, I said this would really be great for young people. And so I just continued to expand. And even having this you know, this chat with you, one of my friends is on, shout out to Coco Cure, I believe she's still on. But she wrote to me and she was like, first date is the gift that keeps on giving. And really,
Coco said, I'm here.
And really that's true, because I didn't expect the response that I got. Like I said, I was on the festival circuit for a year and a half. It's still running on Aspire as well as kweliTV, and I'm just really thankful for that.
That's awesome.
I see someone wants to ask a question.
Yeah, so Bison for Life, if you have a question, you can definitely ask right now if you have a question. Bison. Well, we'll keep talking while Bison he or she, I can't tell, put their question together. Will there be a part 2? That's the question.
Oh, wow. Yes. And I'm not sure if this person is a filmmaker or not. I have no idea if I know this person or not. But at this point, I really am still brainstorming what part 2 will be. And like I said, First Date was really an inspiration and a boost for me as a filmmaker. And I think that collaboration for part 2 would really be helpful for me to really get out of my own experience. Like I've brainstormed so many different ways that are not my story. You know, I definitely have thought about 2 different stories that I think would be really, really interesting. Okay. He's not a filmmaker, just someone who likes Black film. Well, thank you very much for tuning in tonight.
Yes, thank you. I guess you went to Howard. I see Bison for Life. Unless you like Buffalo Me, I'm assuming you went to Howard.
So at this point, my producing partner and I are brainstorming a couple different angles to continue it.
Awesome. I think that's so great. What do you think your style as a film director is, based off of this first film? I know you hear so many filmmakers have a particular style of filmmaking, and they have a particular way how they like to tell stories. What do you think your particular style is?
You know, I think that I love reveals, to be honest. I did a web series before web series were even hot. And it was very similar. And it wasn't until I really sat down and started thinking about different things. Like I'm a feature film sellout that got me into the fellowship program that I went to. And I had a reveal in there as well. So I think I have a knack for that. I really want to keep the character engaged. Sorry, not character, but keep the viewers or readers engaged in terms of who someone's identity is. So I really like that. I also enjoy family themes. You know, I've definitely felt like a lot of different filmmakers are mentors of mine. And so one filmmaker, Reggie Bythewood, said to me in conversation, you know, I like to get people laughing and stick the truth in their mouths. And so that's something that I really enjoy as well. So I have a knack for telling like ensemble stories with a reveal. And also, I mean, I think that would be like the biggest thing. And in regards to my directorial style, I actually think that I take a lot from film, but also from my experience in doing television as well. I think just the way that I work with my actors is very similar to how I work in television. I do competition, music specials, docuseries, and the whole nine. I feel like your relationship with your actor, for me, it really dictates how my scene, you know, will play out. So I think that that's the first thing that comes to mind. I also have a really great relationship with my DP, Jacob Burke. And so
for people who don't know, may not know what DP
I was just about
is.
to explain.
Okay.
I was just about to explain. Director of photography, basically my cinematographer. So, you know, when I came up with my shots for First Date, you know, obviously we went scouting and you know, took pictures of everything. I'll sidebar and say when I did my web series, I didn't do this. I was like so new and so green that I literally was like a wide shot here, like a close up here. And I feel like with First Date, I was very calculated in knowing what shots I wanted for each scene. So, you know, we drew a storyboard and took pictures of the landscape for each. You know, I have a very thorough binder of all of the shots that I wanted. And then just worked with my actors, you know, the nights before to really make it work. So I feel like that's why we were able to shoot so quickly. We shot in 2 days.
Wow.
And we were able to do 4 takes at max and move on.
Wow, that is awesome. Yeah. I mean, 2 days. I think I read the Ava DuVernay's, maybe her first film was like in a week or so. And you hear those stories about, you know, being able to do a film in such a short amount of time. I think that's really, really great. And especially with it being your first film. Talk about, you know, your first film. I know you got some money, some funding to do that. But what was the process like just trying to get the funding and just really trying to make this into a film? I think a lot of times there may be people watching like, okay, I want to be a filmmaker. Like, how do you even begin to start?
Well, you know, it's like the journey continues because I am on the journey to my second film. And so I feel like I have a new set of questions. So there's always, you never really find out the answers. I think your answers are just living each day. But to answer your question, you know, I funded First Date on my savings. And so once I went on my festival run, like I really took my festival run seriously. It was like a tour. So I took off work and I traveled for 6 months and I would do it all over again. So I built my workshop series around the cities that I was going to for different film festivals. So I really treated it like a workshop speaking tour. And so once I was traveling, that's when I did my fundraiser to show people like, hey, this is what I did with my short film. This is what I've been able to do. Please help me continue to reach people personally. And so that's when I did the fundraiser. So this time though, my strategy is definitely grants, crowdfunding, and then also I'm applying to a couple residencies. But but to answer the question for people that are thinking about doing their first film, I would definitely say gather up people that you are inspired by, that are, you know, passion partners with you, who aren't going to let you off the hook, and, you know, work together to devise a plan, get really organized about, you know, who has what role. So I was very clear about my 2 producers. I produced as well, but they were really, really supportive so that I could really do my thing with directing and casting. Casting was very important to me. I still love casting, so I do that on my own. And so once I was able to get those things together, then I sat down with my director of photography and I literally was like, hey, what can we work out? So, you know, even though he was very helpful, I was definitely working with real numbers. So to be honest with you, it was my savings, and it was like on Fridays, I would say, okay, well, this particular portion is getting taken care of financially. So that's how I took care of the first film.
And I think, I mean, in reality, that's the reality what a lot of filmmakers have to do sometimes for their first film. I mean, when you hear stories about the first film that I had credit cards or I use my savings, because you do have to sort of prove that you have something. Because sometimes people may not necessarily, you know, okay, I'm going to follow this person and give this person money for a particular project. They want to see how far you've gotten with it or how successful you've been. I do want to open the floor. We have a couple of minutes. If anyone they have any questions, you can have one open seat if you don't mind at 10:45 p.m. showing your face, or if you prefer to have a question on the side, you can do that as well. But I'm talking with Christine Carter. She is the filmmaker for this really great short called First Date, and we're definitely open to questions if anyone have any, or we can, like I said, I can blab in.
So Bison asked, will the next film be LA centric? So First Date was shot in LA. I'm not originally from LA, but I'm originally from New Jersey, but I shot in LA. So I will see. I mean, right now I'm preparing a second film that I believe is going to be shot in New Jersey. But in terms of expanding First Date, it would more than likely be shot in LA since I shot the first one there.
And because you're based in LA too.
Yeah.
Do you see your films? I know you mentioned, a big reveals in your films. Do you see? I feel like First Date has a lot of meaning behind it. Do you feel like there always needs to be a message? Because not all films have messages. Some films are, geared to make you laugh, or some films are just to blow things up, and if we forget about life for 2 hours. But I see, like, for what you're doing, like with First Date, there's a message behind entertainment. Is that where you see yourself taking most of your work in the future?
Absolutely. That's a great question. My work is really designed to not only get people thinking, but to empower and inspire everyone who's watching. Like I said, I also have a lot of family themes as well. So a lot of my film work and a lot of my writing has to do with identity. And also has to do with coming of age as well. So I went to a boarding school, so I have a pilot about going to boarding school.
That would be interesting. Boarding, yes, especially, being a Black female, I'm not sure how many other, people of color went to these schools.
There were 7 of us in our grade, so 6, and then 1, including myself, would be 7. And so I always have said I want to do a project about going to boarding school, particularly because I'm from an urban area. I've always been like very inspired by that experience. But yeah, my themes are always about identity and finding yourself and, being honest and truthful to who you are.
Awesome. Well, it was really great having this conversation. We went over just a little bit because I wanted to have the full 30 minutes to talk to you. And I definitely also want to thank Alice for chiming in very early on to keep the party going.
Yes, I really appreciate it. I have a question for you. So for me, so I'm a new Blab user. So where it says the 27 and then like the HOVA sign, and then what does that mean?
The HOVA sign?
Well, no, I'm kidding, but there's like 2 hands.
That means that people are liking what you're doing, so they can kind of like, almost give you a praise in a way.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah, you have more than me.
It means
props. Love. Yeah, props.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much. I'm glad. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, Bison. Cheers. He's like trying to catch me up. Bison's giving everybody love.
Thank you. I do have a question.
Okay, you have a question? Sure.
You were talking about, there's 2 questions. One, your casting. What was it about your leads that made you say, okay, she's the one or he's the one? There's always generally with directors, that's something they saw.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a great question. So I've always loved casting. I think it's like a knack of mine for whatever reason. But when I was doing auditions, really it was just a gut feeling. I felt like Stephanie Parrott really, I gravitated to just her spirit, and I felt like she really captured the essence of Leah. Leah is very, what's the word? Like very sort of humble, very to herself, but also kind of wears her emotions on her sleeve. And so I think that I felt like Stephanie really came in and like nailed it from the beginning. Funny enough, I had 3 auditions, and when I saw Stephanie, I knew right away. She had no idea that she was Leah. I had her come back the second day and just play opposite a bunch of guys. Like I just had her in the room. I said, do you mind coming for just 2 hours? And I just had her literally stand there reading, and she had no idea why she was there for so long. And I just had her just reading against other guys. So I knew right away. So I think it was just like a gut feeling about her. She just really came prepared, and I loved her energy. And then Byron, I felt the same about. It took me a little bit longer to find the father, and I wanted somebody who was old enough but young enough so that you didn't know offhand, you didn't know automatically who this guy was. So I wanted someone who looked like they could play like a youngish dad.
Mhm.
Um, and then also I felt like he was really able to pull from his experiences as well. He doesn't have a similar background to Stephanie, so Stephanie was pulling from, I think, real experience, but I feel like Byron really had to tap into like longing in a different way. So I just
Right.
enjoyed working with
Okay.
him in that regard.
And
And then as a relatively new, can I say new director, who are you besides Reggie and
Hmm.
Ava? Who are some of your
And I
other
didn't even
favorite
say Ava, but I love
directors
Ava
that
too. Shout out to her.
I mean,
Who doesn't?
who doesn't like
Yeah,
Ava?
I know.
I know, right?
That's
I think we're
definitely
all
true.
swooning over her these days. So yeah.
Yeah. I love Gina Prince Bythewood. I'm a big fan of the Bythewoods. Before I moved to LA, I had a conversation with them. I was really grateful to be able to sit down with them. They didn't know me from a can of paint and talk to me, and I was just so inspired. I'd like studied love and basketball for years prior
Mhm.
to that meeting, and so I was just like so grateful. They were so gracious of their time and energy, and I think are very supportive of a lot of young filmmakers that are out today. um, and so, like you said Ava already. I'm a big fan of F. Gary Gray as well. I think that he's been able to like really run the gamut. I'm super proud of him and excited. I love Tim's story. So I
Mhm.
think like any of the films, I mean, I do like other directors who are not of color, but I think the directors of color always make me smile. I think there's a different emotion. I pretty much cry after every movie. Like it's very interesting. Uh, Pretty much after every Gina movie, I cry because I'm just like, wow, like I kind of know your struggle. I don't know your whole struggle, but I kind of know your struggle, and I'm just really excited for her, just as a
Right.
person, because I know a bit about what it takes to really have your project see the light of day. It's
Right.
one thing to be involved in other people's projects, and like I said, being in television full time, I'm always in it. Like I'm always
Right.
busy. Even now, I'm like, okay, for 2016, I need to create more space for myself to create my projects. I'm definitely pitching, but I definitely need to pitch like 50 times this year, or however
Mhm.
X amount of times. It can't be like 4 times. I'm not gonna get
Right.
something off of like four meetings, and so
Right.
it gives me an opportunity to really take a look at that. Sorry, I
It makes
like
me
went all around the gamut.
No, it makes me think too, just about you hear so many conversations about, being black in Hollywood or being a black woman in Hollywood, just trying to make a film or, being a director. I mean, do you see some of the things that people are talking about? I mean, what you new to LA or newer to LA? What has been your experience, as a filmmaker, a black woman trying to navigate as a new filmmaker in LA?
That's a great question. Um, I think that there are opportunities all around us. I would be remiss to say that there aren't. I definitely have seen a lot of my peers really take it to the next level. Justin Simeon had Dear White People, Issa Rae.
Mhm.
I have a show on her channel, and I remember actually, I think I was drafting First Date when Awkward Black Girl first premiered.
Mm.
Black and Sexy TV. I've sort of been side by side. I've definitely seen these people come from like the ground up, and so I would be remiss to say, oh, there are no opportunities. But on the other side of that, I think that there's always a journey to getting your first major project out there, and so I think all of us are grappling. It's not uncommon to be around other filmmakers and we're like, what's going to be the thing to get us to the next level? And it's funny because I'm sure once I've directed my first feature, which is my goal currently, I'm sure there'll be another goal that I'm racking my head about. what's gonna be it when like that was it before, and so it
Mhm.
sort of never changes. So I do think that Hollywood is rich with opportunity. But it's interesting. It's interesting still feeling like, wow, if I just had a little bit more money, or if I was
Mhm.
in this conversation, you kind of always, I think you just always grapple with that. But Hollywood
Right.
is definitely a great place to be. I think that 2016 is going to be a booming year, especially coming off of this year. Like, so many people
Mhm.
got opportunities. I think we've all, created opportunities for ourselves. It's just keeping your head in the game.
Right, and I think that, and that's the beauty of, and I was talking, we have to wrap it up here because it's probably 11. But
But
Alex and I were
can't
talking
people
at the
just
beginning.
hang up when, I mean, I'm enjoying the
Oh,
conversation.
well, look, okay, it's 30. We said 30 minutes.
No.
I was trying to be good, but if people want to
Well,
listen, we can definitely keep it going a little
you
bit longer. But
you can make someone a co-host and then keep the conversation going
oh,
if
okay.
you want.
Okay, well, I was like, well, I do live radio, so usually someone's tapping in my door, like, I need the studio,
No,
so
I'm
if
teasing. I'm
you're,
teasing. I just really enjoy
oh,
these conversations because I think as creatives, I'm learning, even though I'm an extrovert, like there are a lot of things that are always going on in my head,
right,
especially, pitching non-scripted programming and also pitching film, and
mhm,
wondering or just praying like, okay, what more do I need to do? That's
mhm,
definitely the thing I think, I live by. If it's to be, it's up to me. And so when I feel like I'm hitting those points, I know that there's more for me to do. There's definitely been like a world of opportunity. I think the first date
mhm,
really opened me to a
right,
new world.
mhm,
I remember being at ABFF. Like, my goal at this point is like for, my next short to be at ABFF. But when I went last time, I was supporting First Date because we were part of ABFF Independent, and just to see like the vast like array of programming and content creators and people who had been in it for a while, or some folks that it
mhm,
was their first time. It's just really encouraging and inspiring to be around that
mhm,
energy. So I always love talking about, I love talking
right.
about this stuff.
And I was just making a point too. We were talking about earlier was the fact that we're in such a different time now. I was at this conference and it was a major network, and they were actually afraid of what's happening with streaming and how streaming started changing the game, because they see it as almost as a threat to traditional media. But I think for independent filmmakers, this is almost like a golden age. Like, it's a whole new era. I would dare say almost like the Wild Wild West. Like, it's everyone's trying to, everyone can go to California or wherever else in the West and dig, right? Everyone may not get gold, but at the same time, like, you have the opportunity. If you have the tools, you can do it. I feel like if you have the tools, if you have a decent camera, a good cinematographer, some good actors, and a little bit of money, and a lot of will, you can create a really great film. And I feel like that's the difference with now, with everything being digital, and it's just easier now to do that versus years ago. Do you feel like this is an age where what you're doing now is a lot easier? Do you see, if you were born maybe 10, 15 years earlier, will you think you have the same opportunities? Because I don't think I would. There's no other way I could have a streaming network. Honestly, if 5, if I was born 5 years earlier, probably.
Yeah, it's interesting because working in television, seeing the executives that I loved. Like, I remember when I first graduated, the people that I loved, it was because I watched, the credits at the end. So like, I used to watch like MTV's like Rockumentaries. So when I first got to BT and MTV, I was like obsessed with these executives. And now 10 years later, everyone's trying to figure it out. Like, folks are, no one's guaranteed a job anymore. So a lot of executives are leaving or being pushed out. And now they are kind of going full circle to the things that they wanted to do before becoming network execs. Is really interesting. And so even now with pitching, it's challenging for me because I'm used to, like, I'm sort of used to both streams of thought. Like, I'm used to picking up a camera and just going, but then I sort of miss I kind of miss the old regime in a sense.
Mhm.
Um, So I'm constantly having to adjust. Like I said, even like doing independent film, I totally get it. But like pitching to TV, I'm still trying to figure out how to get through the door, because it's like the old regime trying to keep their jobs, and then now you're coming in with this content. Wait, like, who are you to come in with this content? It's just like a very interesting time. And so I think you're always trying to figure it out. I don't think anyone has an answer, and that's the one thing that I feel like I'm learning through my filmmaking journey, is that you just have to do it. You know, even with my second film, or, you know, dare I say, like the extension of First Date, I think sometimes, you know, wanting to meet, not even the expectation, because I don't think there's an expectation for a part two, but you want it to be as good or better than what you just did. And so I think that I think there's a lot to be said to just figuring out, like, just go, like, don't worry about it. You have to just go. I think Bison asked too. And then we can wrap it up whenever you like. I just enjoy talking about it.
We have Bison has some questions about Black filmmaker stories. Do you think they're too narrow, and considerations about sci-fi, fantasy, and other genres?
That's a great question. I don't think that the stories are too narrow. I think that audiences really do gravitate to rom-coms, though. I will say that. In terms of the web series that I know of, I've been really surprised by some of the web series that I feel like are really great, have really great premises, but that don't last very long. But then the rom-coms are like the go-to. It's funny also just knowing some of the folks, you know, that have done YouTube shows. A lot of them have said, we can't do drama, or we can't do another genre because our audience wants to laugh. Like, people don't go to the internet to watch something super serious. They want to have sort of a relief from the day, a really quick thrill, and then move on. I thought that was very interesting, especially for someone like myself who kind of does dramedy. You know, it's more so drama, and I kind of throw some jokes in every so often. So for me, I'm like, okay, what is it that is going to really gravitate? You know, what is going to catch everyone? Because I want to do something that's different from a rom-com. So I don't think that the stories are too narrow, but I do think that audiences are drawn to one particular or a couple particular genres right now.
You're going to say?
That goes back to a question that I have, which is about marketing. Having worked with independent filmmakers, having been an independent filmmaker myself, it's interesting how, and even in this new digital age, a lot of marketers, old and new, a lot of filmmakers, old and new, seem not to pull in that marketing aspect until the film is done. I would dare say, because social media being what it is, why do you think more filmmakers don't involve that marketing element from the very start?
Oh,
hello.
It looks like
because
Alice?
the hardest, at a venue that's not in LA, you didn't make the hardest thing is to get people in seats. And I work with the Hollywood Black Film Festival every year, and one of the things we're always trying to get the participants to realize is, you know, don't wait until your film is done to start generating that audience. You've got the tools now to generate an audience. So, you know, when it's done, they're eagerly anticipating it. Do you find that to be the case, or do you find that not to be the case where marketing is concerned?
You know, I find that a lot of people don't even really realize they can do that until the end. I think they're so focused on shooting that like they're not even thinking about everything else. I think for First Date and even the other projects that I'm working on, because the reason I think about marketing has a lot to do with my TV background. Because we're always, you know, in television, I'm always thinking about ad sales. And so, you know, that, you know, you're playing to those people that you have relationships with at networks. So I think a lot of the things that I walked into with First Date really had a lot to do with that experience, you know, from my daytime positions. So thinking about workshops or thinking about different things, and even moving forward, thinking about product placement and things of that nature. Also, I'll say, with the web series that I had on Issa's channel, I think that we needed to prove, like our first episode we shot on our own, and then, we were able to get some backing once we had some numbers. Mm-hmm. So again, I think that sometimes people are so eager to shoot that, and also they don't have proof that it's going to work. So I think it's a couple of reasons why people aren't thinking about marketing from the jump.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. I feel like, as an indie, you do want to tread lightly, but then I feel like marketing also is an important thing. I mean, even like with kweliTV, before we had the beta of, we were marketing it, just like films. A lot of businesses, you don't know whether or not it's going to succeed, but, we're still trugging along, marketing it, even when like Urban Movie Channel came about, and I remember people like, well, there's Urban Movie Channel now. So.
But I will say you moved really quickly. I was pretty impressed. I felt like around the time that you acquired First Date, I felt like there were quite a few respected filmmakers who had already been in talks with you or were getting ready to talk to you. And I was like, oh, that's smart. And then I knew, a couple of the partnerships that you've had thus far. I'm like, okay, it was obvious to me that you went in thinking about marketing. Even if you didn't know for sure, you were thinking about it when you got started.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like, too, content is king, like you mentioned, like you saw all the filmmakers who are on the platform, they're like, wow, I'm a part of this great group of other great films. So no one feels like, wow, this movie's on here. I'm not sure. It's almost like, it's high school. You want to be a part of the cool table, and I feel like all the films are the cool films, they're really great films. So no other filmmaker feels like, wow, I don't know if I want to be a part of this film, but people, all the filmmakers are really proud to see all the films on the platform. So I really appreciate it, and that was really important to me, to make sure that I found really great films, and films that people will want to pay for, and films that people will be really interested in. And we don't have a lot of companies on kweliTV. I think we have like two, honestly. I mean, they're entertaining, but they talk about real subjects, and I think what makes us different from maybe like a network per se is that we don't have like a glob of advertisers or major, like Comcast isn't telling us if you don't meet whatever certain goals, you may have to cut that show off. I mean, or not give that filmmaker a chance. I mean, that's not how we operate. We operate very differently. And so we're able to give filmmakers a chance that may not be the slapstick comedy that people may be looking for, but with all the other films that are great, I think we're proving people wrong that Black people do want to see more than just the same type of films and shows, in my opinion. So I'm really excited about where things are going. And before we go, because I do want to, about after 11.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this has been a really great conversation, and I really do enjoy talking to the filmmakers who are on that platform. I do want to remind everyone, we do have an ambassadors program that we've started. So we're looking for some people to be cheerleaders, evangelists for kweliTV. So you can definitely check out our website, kweli.tv, to learn more about that. And I really want to thank Alice for, coming in, filling in a little bit.
You're quite welcome. Nothing is.
My face was turned up. I said, "Oh no!" So thank you.
Are you going to do more blabs? Because nothing is more difficult than coming into a blab and then you have nobody to talk to, and there's nobody off to the side. It's just like.
You know what? It's been. We've had a few tech issues, and we do this twice a month. Twice a month, I talk to different filmmakers. Some people, can you do every week? I'm like, I wish I could, but we have to, look for really great products and run the business as well. So, in 2 weeks, I'm trying to see who will be the next filmmaker we're going to have in January. It's going to be Terrence Jones, Beyond the Passage, which is really another great short film on the platform. So, stay tuned for that. But again, thank you, Christine. I'm happy everything worked out.
It's Kristen. I thought I wasn't sure if you were saying Kristen or Christine before, but it's Kristen.
Sorry, Kristen. That we, yeah, my fault. And on that note, but thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
No, I gotta get it right. I gotta get it right. So thank you so much for your great film, and keep going. And this is just the beginning for everything that is happening with you and your work. So I'm really glad to meet you in person. We've definitely talked on the phone a couple of times. So this is really great having this conversation. But it goes down, folks. Every twice a month we'll have conversations with kweliTV filmmakers. So you can get to know what we're doing. And I do tell people like that's why we're more than like a Netflix. Netflix, I don't think they're having conversations with filmmakers. I mean, our goal is to be more than just like it's just a regular streaming network, a library of content, but really a movement in a community. So we get to know the filmmakers and really understand, why they decided to come up with particular films. So again, thank you so much, Kristen. I really appreciate you being on, and Alice, and everyone else who's tuned in. Bison for giving us all the props, today, and all the people who've been watching. So everyone have a really awesome New Year's Eve, and I'm looking forward to 2016.
Yeah, thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy
and
New
thank
Year.
you so much
Cheers.
for allowing
Happy
me to
New
be
Year.
on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right. Good evening.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.